Rachel Reeves, Chancellor of the Exchequer, has laid bare the harsh reality facing the UK, a staggering £100 billion black hole in public finances over the next 5 years. This fiscal crisis, which Reeves attributes to the disastrous economic management of the previous Conservative government, casts a long shadow over Labour's ambitions to restore economic stability and growth. During a tense cabinet meeting, Reeves warned her fellow ministers that the UK's financial situation is far worse than initially anticipated, sparking fierce internal debate over how to navigate the turbulent waters ahead. The Chancellor's revelations come at a critical juncture for Labour, just weeks before her highly anticipated first budget. The budget is expected to set the tone for the rest of the Parliament, and Reeves has signalled that it will not be an easy ride. Her stark message to the Cabinet was clear. Drastic cuts and tough decisions on spending, welfare and taxation are inevitable, regardless of ministerial resistance. The £22 billion shortfall for this year alone, which Labour blames on the Tories, is only part of the problem. Reeves warned that this fiscal gap will continue to burden the government each year, making it impossible to avoid difficult choices. Before we dig into the full story, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated on all the latest political news and economic developments. At the heart of this crisis is the enormous financial strain caused by public sector pay increases, support for Ukraine, and the asylum system, costs that have spiralled beyond the government's control. Ministers, particularly those responsible for capital spending in key departments like transport and infrastructure, have expressed frustration at the cuts being demanded of them. However, Reeves remains resolute. She has signalled that there will be no backing down, with the upcoming budget focusing on putting the public finances on a strong footing and delivering honesty to the British people about the scale of the challenge ahead. Treasury sources have confirmed that the £100 billion black hole is a conservative estimate, reflecting the colossal scale of the financial mismanagement that Labour says it inherited from the Conservatives. Ministers do kind of know that we'll need to fix the black hole every year, said one source, but because they see things through the lens of their own departments, they haven't fully grasped just how bad the situation is. This is not a budget for giveaways or rabbits out of the hat, Reeves has warned, as her team works to manage expectations ahead of what is shaping up to be a brutal fiscal statement. Reeves's primary focus is on long-term economic stability, even if that means short-term pain. While ministers have been pushing back on capital spending cuts, the Chancellor has made it clear that investments in infrastructure, renewable energy, and transport are essential to driving growth, but they must be funded responsibly. Labour's economic strategy involves borrowing tens of billions of pounds to invest in key sectors like green energy and digital infrastructure, with the hope that these investments will help modernise the economy and create new jobs. However, borrowing for investment will come with strings attached, and Reeves is keen to avoid sending the wrong signal to financial markets. One of the key challenges Reeves faces is balancing the need for economic growth with maintaining market confidence. Labour is acutely aware that any signs of fiscal irresponsibility could spook investors, leading to higher borrowing costs and undermining the government's plans. To reassure markets, Reeves has committed to Labour's golden rule, borrowing only for long-term investment and not for day-to-day spending. This echoes Gordon Brown's fiscal discipline during his tenure as Chancellor, and Reeves is betting that a similar approach will help stabilise the economy. But even as Labour attempts to steer the economy back on track, the political challenges are mounting. Ministers are already bracing themselves for the backlash that will inevitably follow the budget's tough measures. Cuts to welfare and public services will be deeply unpopular, particularly among Labour's core voter base, and the opposition is ready to pounce. The Conservatives have already begun attacking Reeves for what they describe as fiscal incompetence, blaming Labour for creating uncertainty and risking economic recovery. As if the fiscal crisis wasn't enough, Labour is also grappling with internal divisions over reform of the House of Lords. The latest attempt to remove hereditary peers from the upper chamber has sparked fierce debate within the party, with many questioning whether this is the right time to focus on constitutional reform when the country is facing such an urgent economic crisis. MPs debated the House of Lords Hereditary Peers Bill, which aims to kick out the remaining 92 peers who inherited their seats, but the path ahead is far from clear. Labour has been here before. Previous attempts to reform the Lords have failed, and despite its majority in the Commons, the government faces an uphill battle. Critics within Labour are concerned that the party's focus on Lords reform could distract from more pressing issues, such as addressing the cost of living crisis and fixing public services. Even within the cabinet, there is scepticism about the bill's chances of success, with many arguing that the party should focus on more immediate economic challenges. Adding to the tension is the upcoming Conservative leadership election, which is heating up as the party looks to replace Rishi Sunak. Ballot packs have been sent out to Conservative members, and the race between Robert Jenrick and Kemi Badenoch is now in full swing. The outcome of this leadership contest could have major implications for Labour, as the Tories seek to rebuild their party and present a viable alternative to Starmer's government. Meanwhile, Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, is facing a difficult decision regarding a controversial citizenship application from a Middle Eastern individual known only as FGF. The applicant, who was a founding member of a political group that has been designated as a terrorist organisation in his home country, has applied for British citizenship after being granted asylum in the UK. Cooper must now decide whether to grant the application, a decision that could have far-reaching consequences for Labour's immigration policies. Cooper's decision on FGF's case is complicated by the fact that much of the information used to justify the rejection of his initial application has since been discredited. The Home Office had previously rejected FGF's citizenship request on the grounds that he was not of good character, but a recent appeal has revealed that many of the claims made against him were actually the result of actions taken by a relative, not FGF himself. With this new information, Cooper will need to weigh the risks of granting citizenship to someone with a controversial past against the potential fallout of denying the application. All of this political drama is playing out against the backdrop of a looming fiscal crisis that threatens to define Labour's time in government. Rachel Reeves's ability to navigate this crisis will be critical to the future of the UK economy, and her decisions in the coming weeks will set the tone for the rest of Labour's term. Can she manage to plug the £100 billion black hole without alienating voters or spooking the markets? Or will Labour's grand economic vision collapse under the weight of its own contradictions? As the budget draws closer, tensions within the government are running high. Ministers are bracing themselves for the tough decisions that lie ahead, and the public is anxiously awaiting news of how Labour will tackle the country's fiscal challenges. Will Rachel Reeves be able to pull off a political and economic miracle, or will the £100 billion black hole prove too big for Labour to overcome? Stay tuned as this story develops, and don't forget to like and subscribe for all the latest updates on the Labour government's struggle to save the economy.